Hi everyone, welcome to Web Development Basics Day 7 and CSS Class 2. Today we are going to be looking at IDs, classes, and a combination. Okay, so let's get started. We already know what ID is and how we call it, and we already know what class is. And I don't know if I said it earlier, but IDs have to be unique. I can't name this one ID para 1, then come here and do ID para 1 again. They are supposed to be different from each other. But unlike IDs, classes, I can do that. I can give different things the same name of class. Like here, I've given this class name group 1, and here I gave this H header the same class name. Okay, now let's style our group. This is how we call classes in CSS. Start with the dot whatever the name is. So now I want the background color to be, let's put gray, and I want all the text to be aligned at the center. Save. Let's run it. Okay. So that's that. You can see it also affected this one. Now what happens if I specify a code in the ID, that's for this ID, classes, and combination, and it overrides something within that has already been said in the group? Remember that I said having a div is more like a box, so anything you put at this div, maybe you give it an ID, or especially when you give it a class, is going to affect the rest of the contents of that box, that is the rest of the things within that div. But now what happens when we specify that something within the div should be something else, and that something else is quite different or is very similar to what is here? Like here I said the background color is gray. Now I want to specify that the background color of what has this ID should be red. Let's see what happens. It's going to change it. So you have to be very careful when you're using your IDs and your groups. You have to ensure that they don't clash. If not, you're going to end up having something like this, and you might be wondering, what did I do wrong? How did I get it wrong? Okay, so that's that for that. I'm going to leave it up as an example of what we should not do. You can put, it's not as if you can't code whatever here. You can code anything within this tag, anything that you want, but be careful not to let it clash or be the same thing as whatever you've coded here, because this will change whatever it's supposed to have been using this. So now let's look at this H1 class. If we look here, it's gray, it is centered. Now let's see what happens if we specify that we want something else to happen to it. Let's say h1 dot grp. This is simply saying all the h1 tags that have this group, this thing, they should follow whatever this is. So let me now specify color should be blue. Let's see what happens. It changed it. So you can specify, as you have used different this thing, you see the background is still black and it's still centered, right? But I wanted the color of this one to be blue. You can also change the font size, whatever. And just because this class is like, what was the thing we wanted with this class? Center it, make the background color gray. I still want that for this one, but this place I want the text color to be blue. So instead of trying to do in styling for this, inline CSS for this, just come here specify it using the group. You say h1 dot whatever the group name is, because yes, all the things in this group still applies, but I want this one to have something different. And also, if we had 15 h1s and they have this class, this color blue will apply to each and every one of them. So now let's go to another different type of combination. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, now one interesting or funny thing you can do is you can give something two classes. And how do you do that? Let's say, how do I explain it? Okay, let's say this is group 1, then the name of the second class is large, so large. See, I put space. Now if I want to come here to specify anything, I can do so, but the only difference is this is actually going to be large. So let's see what happens when I put h1 dot large large tab. Remember, it should not be something that should be clashing. So I'm say font size. Font size should be 400%. Where's my percentage? Save. Now let's run it. So this is it. Remember, this one has two classes in it. Alright, group and large. And I just specified that every tag, every header one tag with a class this should, the size of the font should increase to 400%. Now what if I want everything in large to be 400%? Will this still affect this? Yes. The specification really comes into place when you want to do something slightly different, or you want to add some more style that's specific to maybe that header alone. Okay, so we've seen how to do IDs, we've seen how to do classes, we've also seen cases we can combine. Let's go to margin. What are margins? Margins help to create space around elements outside any border, but let's see it in action to understand more of what a margin does and what it looks like. Okay, so let's use our div as example. Remember, if I do div just like this, it's all the divs in the page that is going to make use of. So this is how we write margin. Margin has 4, and this is them basically: margin bottom, margin left, margin right, then margin top. Okay, so let's say we want this 200. That's the space above the divs should be 200 pixels. Margin, sorry, the space below the div should be 200 pixels. So if you're having two divs, that means the distance between them should be 200 pixels plus the normal distance between two divs. So let's say top, let's make it 200 to margin right, margin left 100, sorry, left left 100 pixels. So save, Now let's run. Look at, remember that this was not how it was before. So margin top. Now look at the distance between the divs. Go left and right. So it applied to all the divs, every single one of them. Okay, so margin basically just puts space in between that div and anything. Sorry. So now let's say instead of this way, we want to save time. Me, I'm always looking for the easiest but most effective way to do things. But please be careful and don't make mistake. Once you make mistake, everything has finished. Okay, so we combine it, and please, it follows this order. Whenever you're writing margin, if you want to follow this shorthand method, you write margin top first, followed by margin right, followed by margin bottom, then followed by margin left for the shorthand method. Okay, so top 200 pixels, space, right 100 pixels, space, bottom 200 pixels, space, left 100 pixels. Then we now put our semicolon at the end. Now if we did this right, if we did this perfectly right, when we save the page and rerun it, I'm just going to come here, we should not have any difference. And that's it. But remember, top right, bottom left. Let me put it here for a bottom. Okay, so if you are using the short form, which is this, top right, bottom left. Now also, if the margin, like everything was 200 pixels, right, you don't need to write 200 200 200 200. You just need to come here and put 200 pixels, and that's all. It will apply it to every part. Okay, so that's shorthand. We call it the shorthand, margin shorthand properties. Okay, so now let's close this. So that's it. It's quite easy. Let's close this. And also, if you miss one, let's say I miss this. Okay, yeah, let's say I miss one. What the computer is going to read is top is this, bottom is the last one, right and left margin are these ones. So we actually have to be very careful. If you're using the shorthand properties, easier, but be careful that you understand what exactly it means and what it's doing. Okay, all right, now we're going to borders. Borders, most of the time they complement a margin. Excuse me. They complement a margin, and they are also in sizes. They have their own sizes. For instance, let's say this div now. Remember that all this is the same. This div, we want to put a border around it. Similar to how margin works, if I do 2px, you know that border is the line surrounding whatever, just like in our table. So 2px or 1px is like how thick that line is. Okay, how thick it is. Then we can also specify the color. Since I've used gray, let me use, what goes with gray? Let me put purple. Okay, save. Oh, sorry, this is the size of the border, and now this is the form, because there are different forms of borders. So let's come here. Okay, it's very tiny, but hope we can see this. And now this we can see, because remember in this div it was only this one that would change the color. So this we can see purple, purple, right? Now let's go and see, excuse me, other forms of borders that can be used. You can also increase the size properties. Okay. So now we have, apart from solid, we have dotted. Okay, let me put it here for you. This is different types of borders. So border types or styles, right? Let's call this border style as the actual name. Now we've used solid. That's the one we just saw there. You can also have dotted. Dotted. Save. Let me write it here in case some people are jotting down. Dotted. Let's see what happens. Look at it. If this one is too tiny for you, you can see this. Yeah. Okay. Now we also have, I think we have about what, about, let's say, close to 10. We have dotted. Then the typical one when you don't use anything is none. So we have dotted, none. We have a border that is hidden, like it's there but you can't see it. And if you use something like that, just know that your arrangement on your page have to be awesome, because if you can't tell what starts where and what stops where, it might be hard for you. So we have dotted, we have none, we have dash, we have ridge, we have groove, we have insert, not insect but insect, we have outset, we have mixed. So you can just come here and change it. That's how we put borders. Okay, so that's how we put borders. Now let's go to the final one. Oh, okay, still a bit more on borders. You can specify how wide it is. Remember how I said with this it just goes round, it's like a short form, two pixels stick up, down, left, everywhere. You can specify how wide that border is, or also how thick it is. So let me remove border. Remember, this is also a form of shorthand. So instead of border, I'm going to border style, ridge, semicolon, enter. Then I want to specify the border width. Border width. So you can even specify the bottom color of the border. For me, I'm looking for the width. Okay. Looks like it's not going to help me out fast enough. Width. Thank you. Let me make it 5 pixels. Save. So let's see the difference. Look at how thick that is. This is the code. I said I chose ridge. This is how ridge looks. Now look at the border size. Okay. I'll put it like this. Let me undo. Oh boy. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Okay, save. This is it before. And when we widen, this is it. Okay, save. Difference. Okay. Then you can also put, oh, sorry, you can also specify, like I said, when we put border that time and we just had one, it specified all round of the border should be 2px. Now this is specifying just the width. If I add something to the width here, imagine this being the top. If I add something to px here, this is simply saying at the top 5px, at the bottom 20px. Are we seeing the border? I'm trying to find the border now. Okay. Now if we make it, oh sorry, this with 2, just like with, made a mistake, this with 2 just like with this. When I said if you have 3 it means this, if you have 4 it means this, if you have 1 it means this. Now with border, when you have 2, what happens is saying your border should have should be 5 pixels up and down, then left and right should be 20. If you make it 3, let's make it 4px, right? 4px is simply saying it should be, the top should be 5, the right should be 20, and both the bottom and the left 4. If we put all 4, I believe it's the same, yeah, it's the same thing with this in order: top, right, bottom, left. So when you're putting the weight, if you're using this, remember how it functions: top, right, bottom, left. Let me put it below. Copy and paste. Control V. Yeah. Top, right, bottom, left. Order. Border order. Yeah. Top, bottom, and left. So also if you do this, if I copy and paste this here, it means basically the same thing: 5px, 3px, 4px, 2px. Top of the border, right of the border, bottom of the border, left of the border. Now we can specify the border color, and we did it earlier where we put border, this, we put the style of, we put the form of the style of the border, where we did 2, I think it was 2 we used the last time, 2px, dot solid, then purple. Now if you want us to specify it like without doing join like we did the last time, you can just simply put border color, purple. Right, and border style, sorry, border width px. I don't feel like writing all the top, left, bottom. 5px is fine. There'll be a difference, but not so much. Okay, it might be much, because I think I specified something different previously. Yep. Okay, so basically that's that for that. Now also you can make it such that it has different colors. That's for those people that want to play, and it's still the same format. Like when we came here and we're like top, right, bottom, left. Okay, same thing here. Top, right, bottom, left. Let's put green. All right. Top, purple, but right, red, bottom, yellow, left, green. So you can specify, or you can make it one-sided color. Sorry, I feel like I'm about to sneeze. And also with colors, just like we had with text, and I was like, for instead of, if you don't know color, you can do this. You can also do the same thing with border. So basically that's most of it for border. The rest on borders is just more additions, or maybe you want the top to be dotted, you want the right to be solid. It's all that, but hardly when you're coding that you need it. Very hard that you need something like that. Okay, now let's go to the last one. Background image. We've done background color, please, we know how to use that, and we're going to background image. And also in the last class I said we can put background, what they call, color here, remember? But now we want to use background image. Okay, let me put background color, in case some people have forgotten. Background color. Which word color? Just checking if this actually exists. There's something like a hash color. No, doesn't. Okay, let's go to our blue, baby. Yeah. So background color for those people that don't remember. Now we're going to background image. Oh god, sorry. Background image in CSS, or image in CSS, kind of works differently from HTML. Image. Okay. Now let's say URL, where we used to have href, blah 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 blah. Now we have URL. And check, do I have anything saved apart from the edge? No, not this one. I think it's still the edge I have, so edge .jpg. So let's run. Save. Chrome. Yeah. So basically this is how you put an image on the side. Now it's repeating because the image, its size and everything, it's not enough to appear just once, so it just repeats it so it can cover the entire page for you. Okay, and it actually looks nice, come to think of it. So that's how we put a background image in CSS. Okay, now there are ways maybe you can prevent it from repeating. You don't want it to repeat and other than that, but let me not put too much on you right now. I removed the color if you paid attention. Okay, so we've learned basically margin and borders. We're going to look at padding tomorrow. We've learned classes, ID. We've learned how to merge, let's say, class and other things. We've also learned borders, colors and all that. And we also learned that you can put two classes. So what should your assignment be? Okay. Okay. I don't have any specific idea of what I want everybody's assignment to be. So let me just make it more like your assignment should contain this. Everybody's assignment, I don't want to know how you do it, but I want at least something with a border. Border should have colors. Alright. And which other thing? Okay, Dave. Okay. I want the borders to have colors. And which other one? Okay. Now that's something with the border. That's one. Still in that your page, I want something just with margin. Don't put any borders. Margin. Don't put any borders. And also, let me see. Do I need to specify? Oh, okay. Make use of class and ID. So, in other words, your page should contain something with border, and your border should have colors. Then also, I want a separate thing with margins only. Margin, no border. Now, in however you want to do that, I need you to make use of class and ID. You can use it for your text, background color. That one is totally up to you. You can make use of that. Now for suggestion, this is not a must. You can go to a site, look at their top, like look at their headers, something like this, where they put their you see home, about us, and they're all on the same line, right? See if you can try to do something like that. It's a suggestion, it's not a must, but something like that. They're all on the same line, and they are different things. I didn't say when you click it has to go somewhere, but about us one place, contact us still on the same line. Then if you are able to do that, still make use of this assignment. One of them has to have a border, another one just a margin, and you have to call them using your class and ID. So when you're submitting this assignment, you can submit your output, that's good, but more importantly, I want to see your code, so I can see that you actually called the class and ID. Okay, I wish everybody the best. Bye.